All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you a sample of this type of assignment. So we're going to be doing several of these mini lessons throughout our time together, and I want you to see how I want that to look. So I'm going to give you an example of that. So these mini lessons is an opportunity for you to teach your peers about a topic that's specifically interesting to you based on chapters that we've read. So we just finished reading chapters 1 through 3. So you're picking something from these chapters that particularly this thing that I want to learn a little bit more about that's relevant to me or the world around me, and I want to teach to my peers. So I'm going to be teaching then using the video or audio recording, teaching a mini lesson, 3 to 5 minutes, to let my peers know about this deep dive that I did on a specific subject, covering what the book shared, what my online resource shared, and then why is this particularly relevant. So I'm going to try this in 3 to 5 minutes. Here we go. All right, my topic that I chose is why is research important? This came from chapter 1, pages 23 to 24. So first of all, we live in a very complex world. Humans are particularly complicated, and we're constantly learning more and more about how the brain works, how mental health works. And so research helps us to be able to find types of therapies that are particularly targeted to help specifically with different mental health issues. Scientific research is different from intuition and personal experience. So there are lots of people, everyone likes to sit around in their living room and hypothesize why humans behave the way they do. But it's particularly important if we're going to operate as therapists working with clients that we have some grounding for why we chose to run therapy the way we do. And so that's where research helps ground the work that we do. A challenge of this is that scientists can observe behavior but not the mind. So they can see that they can observe that we're crying but may not know why we're crying. And so there's still complexity there that scientists are still trying to understand all the inner workings of the human mind. And so this is a constantly evolving field. So I chose for my online resource to explore the topic of psychosurgeries. So these have been happening throughout our history, and this is an example of when somebody had a hunch that wasn't fully researched and they just tried things and used humans as their guinea pigs and didn't turn out so well. So the first psychosurgery was performed. They were performed to release evil spirits from the body. Or to release pressure in the brain to help address headaches. So you can imagine how well that worked. In the late 1800s, there was a specific case, they called it the American Crowbar case, where there was a guy that was working on a railroad, had a crowbar that went through his head, and it completely changed his personality. And so scientists were particularly interested in him because it gave them a sense of, by manipulating the brain, there might be a way to either help or hinder a person's life experience. So this kind of led to the practice of lobotomies. Lobotomies is the practice of opening up the skull and removing a part of the brain with the idea that we can remove the part of the brain that's malfunctioning. In theory, that kind of makes sense, but in practice, really, without the ability to target exactly what all you're removing, you're actually changing quite a bit about a human to help address a specific issue. And so the end result is having people that are kind of zombies because they've been lobotomized. You might hear that word. All right, modern day relevance. Why is this important? So research is particularly important because mental illness has a long history of being misunderstood. People with mental illnesses have been labeled as having issues that they have created, or that it's a result of poor behavior on their part that they have these mental illnesses. So there's been a stigma that fortunately has been kind of leaving the field of mental illness, but history has, there's been a stigma attached. This is a personally relevant topic for me because I I'm a gay man. I grew up in a community that felt there was a type of therapy they believed would help relieve me of my sexual orientation called reparative therapy. And so this was practiced in the 90s, kind of based on a hunch that there is a way that you could reverse somebody's sexuality. And so I spent 10, 15 years going through a reparative therapy, unfortunately spending all this time and energy and it not working. And so you can imagine the amount of challenge that created in my life and in many people's lives by promoting a type of therapy that wasn't based in research. The last concept is mental health is heavily dependent on future research. So for us to really be able to learn how we can best support our clients, we really need to learn what are those ways that work best for particularly mental health issues. How can we best intervene? So in almost exactly 5 minutes, that is my mini lesson. Thank you.